I've always thought the Mercedes-Benz E-Class was the standout car in its category. Strong styling and some individual ideas like the separated headlights made it the more sporty choice over its more business-suited competition. But apparently none of that meant anything to Mercedes-Benz because they've gone and made a whole bunch of changes. The E-Class had reached that stage in its life when a refresh was needed, but Merc haven't gone at this project with any sort of restraint, opting instead for a fairly heavy-handed revision. New additions inside and out, as well as to the model range as a whole, mean the differences between the old and the new are not subtle, and they start, as always, with a new face. The instantly obvious change is at the front. Gone is the four-eyed treatment in favour of the more traditional two. The nose is more prominent, made even more so by this optional grille. And overall, even though this car is the same size as the previous version, it looks like it's gone on a bit of a diet. Some clever swishes of the designer's pen or their AutoCAD program or whatever it is they use to design cars have resulted in this new car looking lighter and leaner, especially in profile. It's all explained in the paperwork that was attached to the car, but for me to try explain it probably won't do any justice. The easiest way to appreciate it is just to appreciate it. Our test car featured the less interesting looking headlights. Sportier models get twin LED bars which create a striking pattern and add to the dynamic style of the front end. But even without those niceties, the update with its new shiny bits and reformed bumpers give the E-Class an aggressive edge. The old E-Class interior was a bit of a slabby affair, but the update has sorted that out. The dashboards had a redesign. The gear selectors moved to the steering column, so the center section is a little cleaner. And there are some first-class options like massaging seats and a rear entertainment system. And quite literally, thousands of safety systems. A lot of which have filtered down from this car's big brother, acknowledged as the finest purveyor of all things safety, the S-Class. Systems that use 3D imagery to detect danger up ahead. Systems that warn you if danger is imminent. Systems that tell you you're a danger to yourself by driving tired. And systems that try and minimize danger by applying the brakes before you do. Fortunately, there are things you can appreciate in here without the need for danger. A comfortable setup with simple controls, technology like the voice command system that works like it should, and tasty materials like the dark ash wood inlays. Good space and a massive boot complete what is an impressive setup, although the layout, very similar to the lesser C-Class, is starting to look a little tired and could do with a bit of reworking. Unlike the offerings under the bonnet. There are some very interesting new engine choices available in the E-Class range, including a diesel hybrid and a 245 kilowatt twin-turbo V6, but we don't have either of those on test. We've been speaking for a while now about the trend for motor manufacturers to fit small, high-output turbo motors to their cars, but it's always been in reference to smaller cars. Well, Mercedes-Benz have followed that philosophy and fitted a relatively modest 2-litre turbo to this rather large 1.6-ton executive shuttle. It's still good for 155 kilowatts and 350 newton meters, and even though it doesn't have the most awe-inspiring soundtrack in the world, it still feels pretty good. Unsurprisingly, not the most earth-shattering performance on the road either, but it coped well with some enthusiastic driving. The real-world bonus of these kinds of engines is, of course, the lower fuel sippage, which Mercedes-Benz claims comes in at a combined 6.1 litres per 100 Ks. Its performance and lack of thirst is outdone by something in this particular model, though. The best thing about this updated E-Class is the ride setup. You get 4 different suspension options depending which model you go for in the range, including a fancy air suspension system in the V8. But even this bottom of the range setup feels like it's tuned to deliver, no matter what the road conditions are, no matter what mood you're in. Forget switchable damper settings, which are available the higher up the range you go. This common or garden variety E-Class suspension is just fine for the kinds of driving you're likely to undertake on an everyday basis. Smooth, quick to adapt, unfussed, and always comfortable. There is one drawback. Despite the decent engine and the great suspension, this particular E-Class isn't the most athletic in the family. Drop it into sport mode, put it into a mountain pass, and all of a sudden the steering starts to feel too over-assisted to ever be involving. The brakes could do with more bite, and the 7G automatic gearbox starts to feel quite harsh. What the suspension giveth, the rest of the setup kind of taketh away. It is disappointing to feel how this car's springs and dampers and roll bars and chassis love being challenged, but the rest of the mechanicals just don't. I suppose you could say it's compromised because of it, but realistically it's set up for everyday conditions in which it's more than good. Drive it like a responsible member of society, which E-Class drivers generally are, and it stays smooth and responsive and comfortable. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class may now look more conventional than it used to, but it's still better looking than a BMW 5 Series and more interesting than an Audi A6. The interior updates have done away with the previous version's weak points, and as a bonus, it now includes some S-Class derived technology. I said at the beginning that the E-Class would be my choice in this corner of the market, and it still is. The 250e is fitted with a 2-litre turbo motor, which in this class of car seems modest, but with 155 kilowatts and good torque, it handles the E-Class's weight easily. The E-Class has been improved all round. The ride setup feels like it could handle far sportier performance, but it isn't matched by the rest of the mechanicals.